Level 1, the garage mechanic. You're 19, and you make $9 an hour building race cars you'll never be allowed to drive. Tonight you built the fastest one in the pits, and in an hour you'll watch from behind the fence while Marcus drives it. The owner's son, the golden boy. The reason your name never makes the local paper. He finds you under that car before the race and holds your grease-black hand up to the crew like evidence. Relax, he says. You're better with a wrench than a wheel. Everybody knows it. They laugh. You laugh too. That's the part that stings because in 20 years that same hand is the one they hang in the Hall of Fame, and Marcus is the one in the crowd, clapping. He just can't see it yet. Neither can you. Then, 40 minutes to green, his backup no-shows. The field comes up a car short. The owner looks around, finds nobody, and points at you. Get in. You start dead last in a borrowed helmet in the car you built for the man who didn't show. And as you buckle in, old Earl, the one man in that shop who ever believed your hands could do more than fix, things folds a grease-soft index card into your palm and says one word about a wall. You don't understand him yet. Level 2, hobby stock driver. 4th place from a last place start in a car built for a man who didn't show. And now you own the thing. Not the good way. The owner sells you the beat-up hobby stock for a number that's technically a favor, and mostly a way to get it out of his shop. You pay it in installments. You pay it in Fridays. Every check you make under a car goes back into a car. Rear gears, a set of takeoff Hoosiers the touring teams pulled half-worn and tossed. An entry fee that costs you a full day of double shifts. You eat standing up over the parts washer, going backward on purpose by every measure a bank cares about. And it's a claimer class. Win too much, and a competitor can hand tech $800 in cash after the checkered and buy the motor right out of your hood. You run scared of your own good nights, and you have never felt anything like it. Here's the thing nobody at the shop believed about you. You've got the feel. Earl saw it first. A right rear that's going off doesn't announce it, it whispers. A half second of the back end getting light before the corner even arrives. You learn loose in, tight off. You learn that most of these guys drive angry, sawing at the wheel, and that anger is just tire where you can't afford. You learn to roll the center, carry the speed, don't force it. Let the cart take the line it already wants. Earl's whole life is folded into an index card in your pocket, a base setup on one side, on the other, in his shaky block letters. Anybody can win in a fast car. You learn to win in a bad one. You've only ever had bad ones. That's the whole education. First real feature, you find out what that's worth. Lap 8, off turn 3, the back steps out hard, sideways, the wall close enough to read the tire marks other men left there. Every instinct says lift. You don't. You catch it on feel, on the exact whisper Earl taught you to hear, and you drive out of it like it was the plan all along. You didn't lift. You finish 6th in a field of guys who've been doing this since you were sweeping their floors. Nobody's impressed. But you climb out shaking, and you understand that the thing you were most ashamed of, the grease, the $9 an hour, was teaching you to drive the whole time. Marcus is there that night, slumming a special event to pad his trophy count. He beats you. Of course he beats you. Better car, better tires, a spotter, a life. But afterward, in the pits, he doesn't laugh. He looks at your car for a second too long. Then at you. Where'd a wrench monkey learn to save a car like that? It's still an insult. It's just the first one that admits you're real. You lie awake that night doing the math you're not supposed to do out loud. You're not even doing this to beat Marcus, though God knows that's in there. You want the wall. Earl's word, the wall where they hang the names that outlive the men. You want your grease-black hands up there. You don't say it to anyone, saying it makes it a thing you can fail at. 2 weeks later, a man you've never met leans on your holler after the feature, owns a late model team 2 counties over. Watched you gather that slide-off 3 and not lift. He doesn't waste words. There's a seat if you want it, but you can't do it and keep the shop. It's one or the other. Racing money doesn't come with a safety net. The shop is the only steady paycheck you have. It's rent. It's how you eat. You quit. You don't even take a night to think about it. And that scares you more than the wall ever did, because now there's no car to hide under, no wrench to blame it on. Just you, a seat somebody's lending you, and the first real chance to find out if the whisper was ever really yours. Level 3, late model driver. The seat comes with a crew chief named Denny who looks at you like a tool he hasn't decided is worth the drawer space. Late models are a different sport wearing the same clothes. Real setup sheets, a wedge bolt, and a track bar height that change everything. Qualifying, where one lap decides your whole night before the green even flies. And the long green run, 40 laps, where the tires go off a little every circuit, and the win belongs to whoever's still got rubber left at the end. You bring Earl's card. You tape it inside the lid of your new toolbox, his block letters where you can see them. Denny notices and says nothing, which from Denny is basically a hug. Then comes the part nobody warned you about. A sponsor. A local HVAC company puts their decal on your quarter panel and their faith on your right foot. The weekly racing paper runs a photo you, grease still under your nails, next to a car with somebody else's name on it. First time you've ever owed anybody. It feels like a bill you can't read the total on. Second race, you nearly fail the whole test in one shot. Green flag, you're fast and you get greedy. You want to lead lap 1, lead every lap. Prove it to Denny in the paper and the kid you used to be. You burn your right side off in 10 laps chasing a lead that doesn't pay until 200. By lap 30, you're a passenger. You finish 11th and you want to disappear. Denny doesn't yell. Worse. He crouches by the car, quiet. You can't win it on lap 10, he says. You can only lose it there. Next race, you sit on your hands. It's agony. You run 5th for 60 laps while your skin crawls, and in the last 20 you drive by every one of them because you're the only man left with tires. You win going away. That night, alone in the empty shop, you look at the framed photos on the wall, the old champions, the names that stayed. You say the word out loud for the first time. The wall. It doesn't sound stupid. That's the problem. Everybody in the pits swears Marcus soaks his tires, cooks them overnight in chemicals so they grip softer than anything you can afford. And impossible to prove. You beat him anyway most weeks. Most weeks isn't a championship. Regional championship comes down to the last race, last lap. You and Marcus. You're leading. You've driven the perfect race, saved everything. And you can see the whole season sitting right there on your hood. He doesn't outdrive you. He bump-on-druns you, gets to your bumper in 3, turns you up the track just enough to clear you, and takes the lead in the title by 1 position. You save it off the wall on pure reflex. You finish 2nd by a car length. The officials in the tower review the incident. They do nothing. They were always going to do nothing. He hoists the trophy his father's money and his own nerve bought, finds you in the crowd, and doesn't even gloat. He just nods, like a man closing a deal he knew would close. You don't hook him back. You want to. But you climb out and help Denny load the car, grease on your hands again, and you swallow it. Because the wall doesn't hang the names of men who threw it all away to make a point in a parking lot. You don't know it yet, but somebody was watching that save. A man in a NASCAR development polo was in the tower the whole time, watched Marcus turn you, watched you keep it off the concrete anyway. He's waiting by your hauler with a card and a question that makes quitting the shop look like the small decision it was. Level 4 ARCA driver. 3 wide at 180 miles an hour, close enough to read the contingency stickers on the spoiler ahead of you. And the only thing between your face and the fence is a stranger's decision not to lift. Welcome to Talladega. They bolt you into a full containment seat, clamp a head and neck restraint to your helmet, and let physics introduce itself. The card by your hauler turned into a contract. Venturini Motorsports Toyota's ARCA program, real money and real equipment, and the first car you've ever driven without somebody else's name half scratched off the door. At a short track, you drive the car. Here, the air drives the car. They call it the draft, a wall of moving air the whole pack punches through together. And because every engine's choked down to the same number by a tapered spacer, nobody can just drive away. So 40 of you run nose-to-tail in a knife fight at 190, and alone you're slow and hooked up you're a missile, and the difference is inches you can't see and won't feel until it's too late. You learn to trust a voice instead. A spotter on the roof, talking in a code that becomes your whole world for 200 laps. Clear. Clear. 3 wide. Don't lift. You give a stranger your life on lap 1 and take it back at the checkered every single week. You learn pit road has a speed limit that'll end your day faster than any wall, and a laptop full of telemetry that knows things you'd rather keep private. First superspeedway race, you're terrified, and terrified is slow. You ride at the back for 100 laps where it's safer, hating yourself. Then your spotter goes to work, threading you lane to lane on the final run. Now, go now, he's got you, stay. Driving you to the front while you drive with your hands and you steal a top 5 you had no business getting. 2 races later, the sport shows you the other thing it does. They call it the big one. It's not a question of if, it's when. A block 3 cars ahead, somebody lifts who shouldn't, and the pack 40 cars running inches apart at 180 folds into itself like a fist. You come around turn 2 into a wall of sheet metal that used to be race cars. No room. No time. You stand on the brake knowing it won't matter, and the world becomes noise and light and a violence you feel in your teeth. Metal folds in where your knees are. The restraint bolted to your helmet keeps your skull attached to your spine. That's the part that saves your life. Your right shoulder is the part it can't protect. Something in it tears loose in a way you'll feel on cold mornings for the rest of your life. Then it's quiet. Steam. The tick of hot metal. Your own breathing, loud inside the helmet. You walk away. Everybody says you're lucky, and you are. What they leave off the highlight reel is the shoulder, and the way your hands won't stop shaking in the infield care center. You're 20-something, and you climb out like a much older man. They cut you free. The car's a write-off, hauled away in pieces. Earl's card is still tucked in the toolbox lid in the hauler. Paper, and it survived when the car didn't. You put your hand on it that night like it's the only solid thing left. You should quit. Any reasonable person quits. Instead, the phone rings that same week at Truck Series team, national television. A real ladder, and you already know what you're going to say. Because a man scared of the water was never going to make it to the wall. You just have to get back in the car that tried to kill you and pretend your hands aren't shaking. Let me say one thing and then I will not bring it up again. A lot of you asked how I make this style of YouTube videos, so I gathered all my tactics for starting a channel like mine in this guide. If you want it, the link's below. Now let's get back to the video. Level 5 Truck Series driver. The other truck won't give an inch. And you won't either. And you're both doing 140 into a corner built for one, and a red light on a camera boom says the whole country is watching you refuse to lift. You sign with Kyle Busch Motorsports. And the first thing the Truck Series gives you is television, a Friday night FS1 broadcast. Your grease-black hands live and coast to coast in front of a country that never once wondered what a race car cost the man who can't afford one. The second thing it gives you is worse. It gives you Marcus. Same series. First time in your life you're level with him, no better car or rung up, no daddy's hauler. Just the two of you in matching trucks on the same lap. And being equals turns out to be the thing he can't stand. You trade paint nearly every week. Not the clean kind. A truck is a brick with a spoiler. The draft shoves them around like a car never would, so you bump draft him into a corner and lift a half breath before he does. Once a year they even run you on dirt, half-ton trucks slinging sideways around Eldora like sprint cars. And he still finds a way to put you in the fence. He gives it back with interest, and the broadcast loves it. They have no idea it started with a wrench and a laugh in a shop neither of them could find on a map. And you meet Sam. She works comms for Toyota, the one who writes the press releases and tells you which camera to look at. You give her the line you give everyone after a rough Sunday. I'm good. She doesn't even look up from her clipboard. No, you're not. Your shoulder's wrecked and you finished 12th and you hate yourself. But sure, nobody's read you like that since Earl. It undoes something. But one night, hauler packed and everybody gone. She catches you doing a thing no driver does, retorquing your own lug nuts by hand and clipped inside your fire suit over your heart, a grease-soft index card. What's the card? She says. So you tell her. About Earl. About the shop, the $9 an hour, the hand held up like evidence. About a word he said about a wall. And for the first time since the crash, your hands are steady for a reason that isn't the car. Marcus notices. He watches Sam laugh at something you said in the garage, and something in his face goes flat. And the shoves on track get meaner after that, a little later on the brakes, a little more door. He can lose a race and file it under racing. He cannot stand that the wrench monkey has something he wants and can't buy. Then the seat opens. Toyota's moving a driver up to Joe Gibbs racing in Xfinity, and there's exactly one seat, and it comes down to two truck drivers. You and Marcus. He's got the resume, the name, the father who knows the owner. On paper, it's his. You win it in the last 4 races of the season, where paper doesn't count 3 straight top 5s while he wrecks trying to answer. And the manufacturer picks the guy who brings the car home over the guy who brings the drama. They call you on a Tuesday. The seat's yours. Marcus finds out the way he found out you could drive. Too late, from someone else watching you get the thing he assumed was already his. You should feel like you won. Instead, you feel a cold little knowledge settle in that a jealous man with a fast car and something to prove is the most dangerous thing on a racetrack, and you just took the one thing he wanted most. He's not going to bump and run you anymore. That was when it was friendly. Level 6, Xfinity Series driver. The owner keeps saying the word brand and you keep waiting for him to say the word car. That's what Xfinity does to you. Overnight, you're not a driver anymore. You're a rising star, a sponsor who wants 4 social posts a week, an owner who talks about the platform. You're winning. You're the story. And the higher you climb, the more of the car belongs to everyone but you. You make the playoffs your first full season. In on stage points, you clawed out 10 and 5 at a time at the stage breaks. The wrench monkey. In the postseason. Then Marcus, a beat behind you into the same series, decides the friendly part is over. Playoff race. The round of 8 cutoff. Win or go home. You running third and controlling your night. He's a lap down and out of it. There's no reason for what he does except the one that's driven him his whole life. He comes down the back straight, gets to your right rear, and doesn't bump and run you. He hooks you. Turns the wheel into your quarter panel on purpose at 180 and sends you head first into the wall. The car's done. Your night's done. Your title shot, hanging by a thread, is done. You climb out with your shoulders screaming the old Crash's song and watch him shrug it. At the in-car camera and mouth 2 words the broadcast doesn't need audio to translate. Robin's racing. Everybody waits for it. The crew. The fans. You've got 3 races left and 1 job, and everyone assumes it's revenge. Hook him back, make it even. You don't hook him back. You beat him instead. Next race, you go find Denny's old lesson, the one Earl taught first. The win belongs to whoever's got tire left at the end. You short pit for 2 tires instead of 4, stretch the fuel window 8 laps past what the spotter's math says is possible. And while the whole field, including Marcus, burns off their rubber swinging for the fences, you drive by him on old tires that shouldn't exist with 40 to go. You don't touch him. You make him watch your bumper get smaller, which is the only thing that's ever actually hurt him. Then you win the biggest race of your life 2 weeks later, and you don't celebrate on the front stretch. You climb the fence, find Sam trackside where she always is, and you ask her in front of 40,000 people and a national broadcast. She says yes before you finish the sentence. Your hand, the one Marcus held up like a joke, shakes as it holds a ring you saved a year to buy. Wallet scale money, still, even now. A reporter asks if the goal is Cup the big leagues, the show. The goal's the wall, you tell him. Earl's wall. I want my name where the ones that last go. He doesn't get it. Writes down something about the Cup dream. That's fine. The wall was never for him. That night 2 things happen inside an hour. A Cup team calls 2311 Racing, Toyota, the scrappy young outfit still proving it belongs. The show. The offer you've been driving toward since a man pointed at you and said get in. And your phone lights up with a number from home you haven't seen in a while. Earl. Except it's not Earl's voice. It's the shop, calling to tell you the old man's sick, real sick, the kind where people call the driver who left. You take the Cup ride. Of course you take it. Then you get in your truck and drive 9 hours through the night to sit with the only man who believed your hands before they ever touched a wheel, because you already know the wall, and the old man aren't going to make it to the top together. Level 7, Cup Series driver? Lap 200 and the car that was perfect at lap 50 is trying to kill you now, and nobody told you that's the whole job. That's Cup's 670 horsepower, no traction control. A 5-speed you shift yourself in a spec car they call the next gen. Up here the grip bleeds away over a long run, lap by lap, and the race is won by whoever can drive a car slowly turning to garbage and complain about it the least. You spent your whole life feeling what a car needs now, they pay you millions to feel it dying underneath you for 500 miles and keep your voice calm on the radio. You made it, the show. Everything the kid sweeping the floor ever wanted. Nobody warns you what the seat actually weighs. 100 people at the shop build in the direction of your data now. A crew chief, a spotter, a pit crew who practice a 4-tire stop like a surgery. There's no speedometer in the thing you hold pit road speed by the tack in the shift lights. Counting, because 1 tick over the line is a pass-through penalty and the whole day's gone. An owner and sponsors whose whole year hangs on how you drive Sunday. And every one of them is loose and laughing with you until the day it goes wrong, and then they go quiet and polite. And polite is the worst sound in the sport. Polite decides things about you in rooms you'll never be invited into. You went hunting for the top of this sport, and what you found was 1 seat, welded down, pointed straight ahead, with the paychecks of a couple hundred families riding on your right foot. Then, on the morning of a race, the shop calls again. Earl's gone. In the night. Quiet, they say, which is a kindness people tell you about deaths you weren't there for. You have to drive in 4 hours. You don't tell the team. What would you even say? You get ELS card out of the toolbox lid where it's lived for years, tape it to the dash, and drive the hardest 500 miles of your life. You win it. For him. On a day the car was falling off worse than anyone's, you feel every whisper the old man ever taught you to hear, and you drag a dying machine to victory lane because you were not going to lose the first race after he died. You stand in victory lane and you don't hear the crowd. You look up, past the grandstand, the way you used to look at a wall of old photos in an empty shop. Almost there, you tell him. The wall, Earl. I'm almost to the wall. You mean it as a promise. It comes out like a prayer. And Marcus, because the universe has a sense of structure, makes Cup that same season in a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet, the Dynasty. He left Toyota for that ride the second it was offered, the way he's taken the better everything his whole life. You stay in the Toyota, the brand half the grandstand still boos. 2 kids from the same shop, and the rivalry that started over a wrench is now the thing that sells the sport. Every race weekend is a heavyweight title fight. He races you clean now, mostly. But a decade of hooks and one word, wrench monkey, sits under all of it. The season tightens like a fist. Race by race it comes down to the two of you, the way you both always knew it would. The championship will be decided in the finale. Winner takes it. Loser spends the winter with it. You, Marcus. One race for everything you've built and everything it cost. You've been driving toward this corner since a man pointed at you and said get in. You just don't know yet that the old crash is going to come collect on the worst possible night. Level 8, Cup Series champion. 40 laps to go, door to door, and the entire championship lives in the 6 inches between your right side and his left. Phoenix, the desert, a flat mile, the finale. 4 drivers came in with a shot, and the rule is brutal and simple. Whichever of the 4 finishes ahead of the other 3 is champion, doesn't matter if some kid with nothing to lose wins the actual race. 2 of the 4 faded an hour ago. It's you and Marcus. Your Toyota against his Hendrick Chevy, the upstart against the Dynasty. The way it was always going to be the way it was in a hobby stock, a late model, a truck, every rung between here and a shop floor. Just this. Then, lap 15 to go, the old crash sends its bill. Your right shoulder, the one the big one tore loose years ago, locks up in the long right-hander. A white bolt of pain that softens your vision at the edges. You don't tell the pit wall. What would you tell them? You've got one arm doing the work of 2 in a championship on the line. You breathe through it. You drove hurt the day Earl died. Marcus can smell it. He starts leaning on you in the corners, taking the air off your spoiler, trying to make you use the arm that won't answer. 10 to go, he goes for the kill. Into turn 1 he tries at the same move that won him every cheap title of his life. The bump and run grown into a full-on dive, right to your bumper. The lunge that hooked you in the playoffs and worked every time because you always tried to hold your ground. But you spent 19 years learning how a car brakes before it breaks. You feel it before he does. You know that entry, that speed, that much wheel, his right front is already gone, already overloaded, a tire about to let go. He just hasn't been told yet, so you don't hold your ground. You leave him the room. You lift a hair and open the door he's diving at, and he takes it, and the corner he's aiming for was never there. His right front lets go exactly the way your hands promised it would. He washes up and pounds the wall while you drive by clean on the inside. You cross the line alone. Slowest word in the language. That one, the way it hangs before it means anything. Champion. Cup Series champion. The wrench monkey. And you don't celebrate. The radio's screaming, the crew's screaming, and you're staring in the mirror at a wrecked car against the turn 1 wall, not moving. And you key the mic and say the only thing you care about. Is he out? Tell me he's out of the car. Silence. The longest 3 seconds of your life. Then the spotter, quiet. He's out, he's up, he waved. Only then do you let it go. Face wet behind a visor no camera can reach, the one place they were never allowed, the whole way up. Eyal's card is taped to the dash where it's ridden all year. You put your thumb on it before you climb out. You don't have to say anything to it. He finds you an hour later, arm in a sling, and he stops in the doorway and looks at you for a long time. 20 years of it in his face. Turns out, he says, the wrench monkey could drive. It's the truest thing he's ever said to you. It only took losing a championship to get it out of him. You take the trophy in both hands. It weighs more than any long night the shop floor ever handed you, and not because of the medal. And you understand, holding it, that this is what the end of something feels like. You don't yet know the bill it's going to send. Level 9 NASCAR legend. There were more titles after the first. There always are, once the door opens a second. A third. The wrench monkey became the name the whole garage measured itself against. You made the wall, too. The Hall of Fame Charlotte, the place Earl pointed at and never got to see. They even retired your number, which this sport doesn't really do. The digits belong to the team, not the man, but they hung yours anyway. You stood up there and said Earl's name into a microphone and meant every word of it. And then one Tuesday there aren't any more races, and you find out the wall was never the thing. You don't retire so much as change seats. You start a race team, a small one, a couple of trucks nobody else wanted, and you aim it at the kids the sport forgets. The ones with the feel and none of the funding. The ones who'd sweep a floor for one lap in a fast car. Then you buy the shop. The actual shop. The one where you pushed a broom for $9 an hour, where a kid named Marcus held your black hand up like evidence while his father signed the checks. It comes up for sale eventually, and you write the check that ends the story. You own the building now. The whole thing. Your name's on the deed to the place that couldn't see you. You don't tell anybody what it cost. It's the cheapest thing you ever bought. Your championship trophies end up in the lobby where the kids can put their hands on them. The grandfather clocks you won at Martinsville tick out of sync in the office. You never set them right. Marcus owns a cup team of his own now, Chevy money and his father's name over the door. Once or twice a year, his people call your people about a kid he's found who's got everything but the budget quiet. Never for the cameras. It's as close as he'll ever come to saying it out loud. You take every one of them, and one night, in your shop, you find him. 19, maybe. Grease black to the wrist. Tuning a car he can't afford to drive. You know the exact shape of his whole life. You reach up over the workbench and take down a card, an index card gone soft as cloth. Grease worked so deep you can barely read Oral's handwriting anymore. A base setup on one side. On the other, the only thing the old man ever told you that mattered. You put it in the kid's black hand. Anybody can win in a fast car, you tell him. You learn to win in a bad one. He looks at it like it's nothing. He'll understand in about 20 years. You don't hang it in a case. You tack it right back over the bench, where the next set of hands can reach it grease soft and still working, the way Earl would have wanted it. A tool, not a trophy. Then you stand in the door of a shop you used to sweep and watch a kid with black hands climb into a car you're paying for. And it lands on you finally, the whole thing. The trophies were never the point. Neither was the wall. The kid in the grease was the point. He always was. If this story stayed with you, like and subscribe for more.